It's something I feel very passionate about, and it's something I have experienced. It's something that has been a part of the community, but I feel in the last 2 years, and I've been doing this a very long time, this is like my 36th con, it is just the worst it has been, and I really think it's important as us, as guests and role models to the younger cosplay community, that we now need to make a stand at this convention and say, no more, this needs to stop. Okay, and that's my basic introduction.
So, don't go anywhere, because you're going to help me with something.
Yeah.
So, to actually give us kind of an intro to it, what we're going to do is we're going to do a little PowerPoint, where we're going to do kind of like a lecture thing. Don't worry, it's not going to be too boring, it's very, very short. Then I'm going to introduce the rest of the guests, and then we're going to go open up the floor to you guys, because this is not about us. We're big enough and ugly enough to actually take care of ourselves. We have experienced stuff in the community and outside of the community, but this panel is for you, okay? So what we're going to do is, after we've done this PowerPoint, again, we're going to introduce these guys, and then we are going to open the floor up to you, and you can ask us questions on how we would deal with certain situations, that sort of thing. If you want to share your experiences, this is also a forum for you to do so. You can also just ask us about things as well around this topic. So, Katie is going to, I've done the PowerPoint myself. Katie is going to add as we go if I've missed anything.
Sure you have.
And I might have done. I don't really, so the internet drama thing isn't really my thing, the bullying thing is my thing, because generally I just ignore the internet drama. On occasion when I see something that really upsets me, I might mention it. I never mention names. But the internet drama, I kind of just remove myself from it and just go, oh dear God, grow up.
I think it's one point in this panel is not about name and shaming.
Exactly.
And we don't, if you're going to talk about your experiences, we want you to respect the fact that we don't want to know who's been picking on you, because by you then saying things about them, you're starting another tangent of drama. And this is something where I think the internet has become to effect, because I'm like, say for example I am a normal cosplayer and I had a costume, and then someone comments on it and goes, well, I don't think you suit that character. And then I go, well, I don't think you suit your character. And then he goes, well, you suck. And I go, you suck. Then we are both bullying each other over an internet forum, when I should have been the bigger person and just gone, well, you don't like my costume, you're one person, these 6,000 other people go, they like me.
Exactly.
I don't have to like you. It's kind of like in school. You don't go to...
So, no names, essentially. Essentially, no names. You are, this is, by all means, beep. It starts with a B. It starts with a B, but before the watershed, so I can't actually say the word, but beep as much as you want, but please don't mention names, because it's not, this isn't a forum to actually name and shame. It is a forum to vent, to ask us questions, and to share your experience with us, and maybe ask us how we would deal with those experiences. So moving swiftly on, as I say, this is Cosplay Bullying and Internet Drama. Could I have the next slide, please? Lovely assistants behind the desk. So I'm going to have to move over there, because that writing's very small.
I'll come join you.
Yeah, so, am I going to go too far away from the desk? No, that's fine.
No, you're fine.
So, I looked up 2 different definitions of actual bullying, because one of the things I have noticed is very similar to what you have just mentioned. 9 times out of 10, particularly on the internet, some people start saying things and don't actually realise they're doing bullying as well. So, I thought I'd actually define it for you. Oh gosh, I'm bringing my law speak out.
Oh God.
I study law. So, what is bullying? Persistent, offensive, abusive, intimidating or insulting behaviour, abuse of power or unfair penal sanctions which make the recipient feel upset, threatened, humiliated or vulnerable, which undermines their self-confidence, which may cause them to suffer stress. I suffer from anxiety, and at Christmas I had severe depression, so I know what stress means. As does a lot of us, I'm sure. Those who can do, those who can't bully. That is a saying. This is from Tim Field in 1999. Bullying is compulsive need to displace aggression and is achieved by the expression of inadequacy, brackets social, personal, interpersonal, behavioural, professional, brackets, by projection of that inadequacy onto others through control and subjugation, brackets, criticism, etc. Bullying is sustained by abdication of responsibility and perpetuated by a climate of fear, ignorance, indifference, silence, denial, disbelief, deception, evasion of accountability, tolerance, and a reward for the bully. Okay. Next slide, please. So, hello. Hello. There we go.
You've got really bad feedback.
Moving on, yes we do, it's because we're standing in a really random place. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was actually history of bullying, cosplay. I know what I'm talking about. History of cosplay. First actually started in America in the 1930s.
We're gonna have to move.
We are going to have to move. Actually started in America in the 1930s. Am I a bit closer now?
You go there, because it's your time point.
It was the first documented cosplayer was Forrest J. Ackerman, who is this gentleman here. It was for a sci-fi convention in 1939, I believe. So actually, the Japanese did not create cosplay. It was at that point called costuming, which is why a lot of people in Devon actually call it costuming and not cosplay. It was actually cosplay, the word cosplay was created in Japan though, so it's the word, not the actual the actual costuming is American, but the actual word is Japanese. So in Japan, the Yatsura, oh for God's sake, a television series Mobile Suit Gundam helped launch the movement. The term cosplay was created in 1984, so it's actually a year younger than me, when the Japanese reporter Nobuyuki Takahashi attended Worldcon in Los Angeles. When translating the word masquerade to the Japanese audience, he thought that the word sounded too old-fashioned and used cosplay to describe the concept. So, next slide please. Why do we cosplay? Now bear in mind, this is based on why I cosplay, because obviously I made the panel. I'd like to think this is why everybody cosplays, okay? But I know this is not the case. So, which is why I put different for everyone at the top of the slide. Confidence, becoming someone else for a day. I know when I'm Harley Quinn, I love to put on that "Hey, Mr. J" voice. For fun. Who here, hands up, who likes to have fun in cosplay? Hands up who doesn't like to have fun in cosplay? Really?
Having fun.
Really? Leave. Okay. So, competitive reasons. I do like to compete. I don't do it as much as I used to, but I do like to compete. For me, the competition is actually to improve my skill. Practicing and growing artistic skill. So that's my reason to compete, because it actually gives me motivation. But again, you've got people, for example, this young lady is the most amazing artist. So she's
complimenting me. I don't know how to react.
Of course I'm complimenting you. You're an amazing artist. There's amazing props makers over there, and some amazing looking girls as well, and a lovely gentleman there as well. Hello. Who does an amazing shredder. So yeah, so it's an artistic forum, and I don't care what anyone says, cosplay is an art form. You are creating art. You may be creating art from another source, but you are creating art.
I remember the first time you discovered cosplay. Like, I can remember being online, and I was watching anime since I was 9, and I mean Japanese anime, so with subtitles in. The first manga I ever read, which I can still tell you the whole story and how I discovered anime and manga, was Tokyo Mew Mew, and I got obsessed. And I didn't know what cosplay was until I was 13, and it was by accident. I was on Google, and I was like Googling a couple I liked. And then I was like, oh my god, there's this whole community who cosplay them and they dress up and come in real life. And then when I went to my first convention, I met an Inuyasha, and I pray to God I will meet him again one day.
I love meeting Inuyashas.
And I just went up to him as my awkward 12-year-old self and was like, I love you, can you marry me? I don't know how old he was, but that was my first experience, because I just couldn't understand that this was a normal person. But he was my character, and I was like, oh my god. You know, that first experience, and
oh yeah,
that's something I've never experienced since. I've never got that excited about cosplay.
No, my first
he rejected my proposal.
Later. See, in Devon it's very, very new. Even though you guys have kind of further up the country have had loads and loads of stuff, I didn't actually know. I've only been cosplaying for 5 years purely because I didn't actually know you could do it in the UK. And then my friend and I met my best friend when I was her manager at Boots. And yeah, I was a team manager at Boots after I finished my degree. We were very much, we were friends with this one person, and we both told her how much we liked manga and anime and stuff like that. She told each of us that this other person was into manga and anime and stuff like that, and both of us thought, oh, she'd be one of those pretenders that just kind of likes Pokemon from like the late 90s, and they don't really actually know anything about manga and anime. And then we got talking, so oh bloody hell, we do. So we've actually been best friends ever since, and she's like a sister to me.
What's the Devon term? Normie.
Oh yeah, normies. Yeah, we call those normal people. We call them normies. You know, we don't call them like.
Cities.
Yeah. Well, we do. Well, I can't really call them things like that because she lives in a city, but
she's a Tony.
Yeah, she's Tony. So. Yeah, normally I don't get on with Tonys, but for Holly I make an exception. But yeah, so we were like talking about conventions, but she was the same. She didn't realise that conventions went on in the UK. I happened to Google it one night and went, oh my god, there's a convention in London in February. And it's actually an Anime League event. And it was LAC back then, it's now LAGC, it was LAC. And we went along, and yeah, she had a reaction like you. The only difference is she was 24.
I had to drag
she saw a Kisuke and she freaked him out.
Mine was because I went to quite a, I'm from Cwmbran, and if anyone's been to Cwmbran, it's kind of like this mixture between town and rural. And when I was in school, no one really knew what anime was. It was kind of like, oh god, you like picture books that are backwards. Why are you reading backwards, you strange person? And I remember when I went to my first convention, I came in the following week and I loaded all the pictures on Bebo. Back in the days of Bebo, you know, send me your hearts. I went back to school the following week and I was bullied constantly. They were like, you're a freak, you don't know what you're doing, why are you going up to strange men? And like, it was like torture for a month, and then I went to another one the following week later and it was great, so.
Yeah. But yeah, so the last reason is attention we get nowhere else. You know.
I get attention off you.
You'll always get attention off me, darling.
The love is real.
So my favourite is when I'm on a London con and I'm on a tube, and you get the looks. Yeah, someone's nodding there. And the best one was this dude, and he was reading a book, and I can't remember what was in. I think it was something quite impressive, but I can't remember what was in, and it was. I was like, dude, just stare. We're doing this to be stared at. Just stare. I will bathe in your stare. Just stare. Okay. But next slide, please. So, why does bullying happen in cosplay? Now, this is my opinion. There may be other reasons. I like to think I am not a bully, so I can't speak from experience, or at least I don't think I can.
Bully me all the time.
Do I?
Yes,
oh,
terrible.
you like it. So, jealousy, elitism, people not respecting boundaries, people can be overly judgmental. So it's usually mainstream rubbish, the normie stuff.
I think it's generally like any sort of bullying happens for those reasons. It's not just subjective to cosplay. Like you can be a bully because you didn't like someone's haircut. And I remember when I was like really heavy goth in school, I was like, oh my god, if you dress normal, then. Yeah, and if you don't know the Smiths and the Cure and Death Cab for Cutie, then you are not worth my time. So was I essentially isolating myself and bullying others because they didn't understand me?
Because so the first time I was bullied, I was a kid, and I was bullied because I was too fat and too posh. Lasted 2 weeks. Yeah, I was bullied. I was at the state school for 2 weeks. It was so bad my parents took me out. In fact, I've recently learned I was actually physically attacked and I don't even remember it. Then I was bullied when I was older because I talked too much about horses. I was then bullied in doing my degree because I asked too many questions in class. What? I know! I was hilarious! I was like, are you serious? And I've recently actually been constructively dismissed, which means I was bullied out of my job. So, yeah.
I think this is a good sort of opportunity to get the cosplayers involved. So
exactly.
if you could give us a very brief, because I think we need to keep it brief, of your first bullied experience. So we'll go around this way.
Honestly, for me it was mostly a rough run through school before and after I started cosplay, but pretty much since I left school I've had a much easier run of the time, if you like. So it's mostly during school for me, before and after I started cosplaying. But anyway, as I said, after school it sort of calmed down quite a lot actually. I've never actually been bullied.
Can I give her a hug? Because somebody has actually not been bullied. That's amazing. Yay!
I mean,
So can we come to you when we need someone beaten up?
yes.
Yeah.
I literally, my sisters got bullied when they were in school. I was one of those outspoken people, so anybody tried me, I just was like right back at them. So they just kind of stepped back, and I was friends with everybody. Like I was one of those moshers. In my day, it was mosher, but I was friends with the popular kids and all those. So I was a bit of everybody. I think that's probably why I didn't get bullied so much. Was that, and I did a lot of martial arts when I was younger.
So you really could beat them up if we needed them to.
But I literally, they would pick on my sisters, and I would literally be. I had somebody in the hallway in school up by their neck once because they were picking on my sister, and then nobody picked on her.
But that's the thing, isn't it? Most bullies pick on the weak. And that's the thing. That's why they're not strong people. They're not like these amazing people. They're actually very small individuals who don't have. They usually have less self-esteem than we do.
Just so you know, I don't go around randomly putting people up against the wall. They were being very mean, and literally, my sister was in tears.
Oh, but what if I need you to?
I will for you, babe.
Thank you.
So I've always been bullied for my weight. Now, as you can see, I am quite skinny, and as a kid, because I was tall and skinny, people would call me anorexic, say I had bulimia, this, that, and the other. I even still now get told that I need to eat a burger, even though, I mean, you guys have seen me eat. I eat like a bloody dustbin, like seriously. I will eat whatever. There we go.
We're going to the gym so I can lose weight and she can put it on. That's how bad it is.
I know, sometimes you want to learn how to siphon it off, don't you? And for somebody whose entire life has had a mother with an eating disorder, I actually know what bulimia and anorexia is firsthand. And when you don't have it, I can imagine. I've always eaten very well and sadly not had a fast enough metabolism to keep the weight off. So I did when I was younger, but sadly, as you get to a certain age, it catches up with you. I can imagine it can be almost embarrassing that you're being told that, because you're not trying to be a certain way, it's just who you are, and it's...
Yeah, it's the worst thing when they think that they're being funny, saying, oh, you need to eat a burger, and you're all like, I get told that all the time. I know I'm skinny, and there's nothing I can really do about it, and you're making it as a joke. It's really, it does hurt people, so any of you have skinny friends, and you take the mick out of them because they're skinny, just think, it does
You can't
hurt your
win.
feelings.
You're either too fat, you're too skinny. It's just not going to win.
Yeah, calling someone skinny is just like calling someone fat. It's not right.
We have a question. Oh, we have a question. Hang on. I wonder if it will go that far.